In Too Deep, a 4-week special event. Starts Thursday, May 12th at 7.
What's that sound?
It's the sound of a million fans crying tears of joy. Back in February, I reviewed the first 26 episodes of Steven Universe's second season. At the time, I thought the season was only halfway over. After all, Season 1 was 52 episodes long, so I expected Season 2 to be the same length. So you're probably wondering, why did I make this video? No new episodes have aired in the past couple of months, so what is there left for me to talk about? Well, at the end of March, it was revealed that Season 2 had ended and that it was only 26 episodes long. In part 1 of my review, a lot of people told me that the season had ended based on sources like Cartoon Network's online site. But before all of you say I told you so, let me just say that when I made that video, I had no idea how long Season 2 actually was. In fact, judging by some comments members of the Crooniverse had made, they also thought that Season 2 was going to be 52 episodes long. To sum this all up, the only reason I screwed up was because Cartoon Network screwed up, so blame them and not me. Just kidding, Cartoon Network, I love you. Because of this big mix-up, I don't have a lot planned for this video. But instead of just giving you my final thoughts on the season, or just waiting until more episodes have aired, I've decided to talk about a couple of episodes and topics from Season 2 that I have yet to discuss. So, without further ado, this is part 2 of my Steven Universe Season 2 review. As previously mentioned, this season started off with a bang. We saw Steven brood, a bunch of teenagers almost die, and Amethyst murdering Pizza Steve. Because of all this excitement, it makes it easy to forget an episode like Love Letters, despite how good it was. I have to give the Crooniverse credit here. In only one episode, they were able to give a memorable personality to a character that didn't have one, and also make a pretty entertaining episode. Love Letters brings back Jamie the Mailman, and turns him into an over-the-top Shakespearean actor who aspires to make it big someday. This was a character trait that Jamie was never shown to have previously. But it's not like he had any character to begin with, and the show even gives a logical explanation as to why Jamie suddenly has a fascination with acting.
Wow, I didn't know you wanted to be an actor.
That's because I'm very good at acting.
I like Jamie. His language mixed with the great delivery by his voice actor makes him a treat to watch. He carries the entire episode, which focuses on him falling in love with Garnet and Steven and Connie trying to let him down easy. It's not a fantastic episode, but it's got a lot of funny lines and deliveries like this.
I didn't write that.
Love Letters may not add much to the overarching plot, but it's still a fun story that helped Jamie become a memorable member of Steven Universe's supporting cast. And hey, this episode was good enough to allow Jamie to have another episode this season, Historical Friction. This episode was very similar to Love Letters, as it wasn't extremely heartfelt except for those nice moments between Steven and Pearl, but it was still very fun and charming. Keeping It Together is an interesting episode for me. Like just about all the other episodes in this season, I enjoy it, but I think I like what it contributes to the overall story more than the episode itself. The main focus of this episode has Garnet and Steven encountering small gem shards that have been forced to fuse. The drama presented in this episode is very interesting, as Garnet sees everything that she stands for twisted and corrupted. While this confrontation doesn't take up as much of the episode as I would like it to, it's still very well done, as Garnet's struggle is understandably intense. Even the setup before this moment is very good, and the episode ends off on a high note. It's great and all, but what I really like about it are the fusion monsters. These things are hinted at to be important, but when it's revealed later that there are millions of them lying in the center of the Earth, that just makes their somewhat subtle appearance in this episode all the more sweeter. This episode even serves as a nice prequel to Keystone Motel, as we see one factor that leads Garnet to finally unfuse. Keeping It Together is an excellent Garnet episode. Its dark moments are fantastic, and the opening and ending are pretty nice too. But I'm in a weird situation where my favorite part is something small that doesn't actually have much to do with the episode. I can't think of another instance where this has happened to me, but at the end of the day, it's just another one of my opinions. Of all the episodes I didn't elaborate on in part 1 of this review, I'm the most surprised that I didn't even mention Chillytid. Or is it Chillatide or Chiltid?
Chillatide.
Thanks, creepy dream Garnet. Anyway, while Garnet is at the bottom of the ocean searching for malachite, the rest of the gang decides to take a break. But instead of watching Netflix for the whole night like a normal person, Steven, Pearl, and Amethyst have a slumber party. At the same time, Steven's dreams are interrupted by messages from Lapis, who we learn is still fused at the bottom of the ocean with Jasper, struggling to keep her fusion stable. This is an excellent episode. The animation and color, especially in Steven's final dream, are very well done, and there are lots of great gags inside and outside the dreams.
You look exhausted.
We look awesome.
The sections of this episode with Lapis are handled really well. They're just long enough to keep you interested and wonder what's going on, and don't bog down the entire episode. Honestly, Chillatid is probably one of my favorite episodes of the entire series, and it mixes fun and intense moments very well. My only problem with it is that the entire episode leans more towards comedy, and while that's fine by me, that may bother some people. And although I feel that this episode had just the right amount of Lapis, I really wish we got to see her again this season, other than in this episode. But according to some recent promos, I don't think we'll have to wait too long to get another taste of Lapis. Also, if you were wondering, that weird title is referencing an overseas Cartoon Network ad that I believe is Norwegian. In the ad, Mordecai and Rigby say Chillatid a lot, which I think translates to chill time. It's pretty odd, since I have no idea what anyone is saying. In part 1 of this review, I compared the pacing and storytelling techniques of Marble Madness from Season 1 and Message Received from Season 2 to show that Season 2 had the better storytelling. But after some thought and rewatching certain episodes, I've come to realize that Season 2 isn't perfect in this area either. When It Rains is a Steven Universe episode on autopilot. This show has always been great at having great episodes that also tell an overarching plot. But When It Rains is almost all business. Sure, there are a few fun moments, but they are small, not that entertaining, and few and far between. This episode is concerned with getting its exposition out of the way, rather than telling a good story. It's not bad, and there is one nice character moment for Peridot, but so much of the episode feels forced, like it only exists to set up future episodes. In my opinion, the worst moment by far is when Steven and Peridot get attacked by the gem creatures. It offers very little suspense, since you already know they're going to be saved by the gems, and it's a poor note to end the episode on. But when it's not shoving exposition down your throat, this episode is pretty boring. Although it is a nice moment to see Peridot experiencing rain, I really don't care. Unless Rain becomes the surprise villain of Season 3, then this section of the episode didn't need to be here. We even go through the Gem Kindergarten yet again, because we haven't already been there this season. When It Rains isn't bad, but it's probably the worst episode in the season. I mean, Rising Tide's Crashing Skies hardly had anything to do with the show's plot, but it was much more memorable than this episode. When It Rains is just a story-obsessed mess, and it makes me appreciate simpler episodes like Back to the Barn even more. That segue was beautiful. It's easy to forget that most of Steven Universe's episodes are fun, simple adventures with a sprinkle of story. This does make sense, since I feel that most of the show's emotional moments have been extremely overhyped by the fanbase. Don't get me wrong, I love the emotional episodes in this series, but we still need episodes that sort of go back to basics. In Back to the Barn, Peridot gets acquainted with Pearl when the two get into an argument on who should lead the building of the gem drill. They settle their argument the only way you could, with a giant robot fight. What results of this conflict is a very fun episode, with some excellent humor, animation, and one of my personal favorite music tracks in the series. Just about everything in the episode brings a smile to my face. Peridot, Pearl's revenge, the robot competition, I love it all. Back to the Barn is a very laid-back episode. But after an exposition-heavy adventure, sometimes a fun, relaxed episode is just what we need. So originally, this next part of the video was going to discuss the answer. But as I was editing this, I realized that I don't actually have much to say about this episode. It's a nice little love story that reveals the tale of how Ruby and Sapphire first met. It also has probably the best visuals out of any episode in the series, nailing the storybook aesthetic it shoots for. The biggest complaint I have with it is the song. I like parts of it, but some of the lyrics are really forced.
Well, I just can't stop thinking. So, did you say I was different?
Also, and this probably isn't the voice actor's fault, some of Ruby's singing can be a little grating on the ears.
And now you're here forever?
Besides a few minor complaints, the answer is a great episode that only left me with one question. Is the ending the cheesiest thing ever? Because I think it is.
So, what was it? The answer. Love.
So those are some more thoughts on the episodes in Steven Universe's second season. Now, I know I didn't cover certain episodes like Reformed or Steven's Birthday, but that's because I didn't have much to say about them besides the fact that they were good. Honestly, there's so much I could say about this season, but I don't want to drag this video out to ridiculous length by talking about every little thing, like how Shirt Club and Story for Steven ended up airing in Season 2. So before I wrap things up, there's one more aspect of the season I want to touch on. The shorts. In between Season 2 episodes, Cartoon Network aired 6 original Steven Universe shorts. 3 of them are titled The Classroom Gems, and focus on different aspects of the gems like fusion and how gems are made. In these shorts, the characters are given chibi designs, which look a little awkward, and the animation on them can be stiff at times. The Classroom Gem shorts aren't fantastic, but they're nice little distractions to show people who might be unfamiliar with the show, as they are both educational and showcase Steven Universe's humor and charm very well. Lion in a Box is a minute of Lion playing around in boxes. It's shot like a home video or a Vine, and it's cute. I laughed at it a bit, but there's not much else to it, which is why it's just alright in my book. Another short is an unboxing video done by Steven, and it shares a lot of the same problems with the Powerpuff Girls reboot short Bubbles Beauty Blog. While it does have a few good moments of humor, all of the references to current YouTube trends aren't going to age well. However, the Steven Universe short is much more charming and has some good humor, so I like it a bit more than the Powerpuff Girls short. Besides, the new Powerpuff Girls show has a few bad jokes in it, so therefore it's the worst thing ever.
Oh, by the way, I was being sarcastic.
The final short I'm going to talk about is one of my favorite things to ever come out of this show. It's an extended version of the Season 2 theme song, and it is fantastic. It sounds great, beautifully recaps Season 1, and is very sweet. It feels like a natural extension of the regular theme, and I cannot get enough of it. I highly recommend this if you haven't seen it already. This is the only short that really lives up to the standards set by the rest of the show, and it's definitely the best one. The other shorts are nothing special, but they're still nice additions to an overall great season. In conclusion, Steven Universe Season 2 may not be perfect, but I think it ended up being better than Season 1. The show continued to build on its plot and lore, while also taking a break every once in a while to expand on established characters and elements, while also introducing new ones. This resulted in some fantastic episodes that may be the best in the series, like Sworn to the Sword or Chillatid. Season 2 also uses its time very wisely. It doesn't feel as complete as Season 1, mostly because the main conflict of the cluster has not yet been resolved, but it almost never wastes a single moment of time, except for episodes like Say Uncle, but I like that crossover, so it doesn't count. The only problems I really had with this season were that I thought some of the songs could have been better, there are a few alright episodes, and it didn't always reach the highs set by Season 1. But to sum it up, Season 2 was a great continuation to Season 1, and I'm very excited to see where the show will go from here. Hopefully, we'll get a solid conclusion to the Peridemption, Malachite, and Cluster arcs, and then I would love to see a new opening sequence. That would be very cool. Overall, Steven Universe Season 2 gets a 9.5 out of 10. Now you're probably wondering, why did I give Season 2 the same score as I did for the entire series in my initial review? Well, that's because that video was focusing on the entire series as a whole, so both seasons were taken into account. If I had to assign Season 1 a grade on its own, I would probably give it a 9 or a 9.3. Anyway, if you haven't watched it in the past year, I highly recommend you get caught up with Steven Universe before Season 3 begins. Crap, it already started!
I will fight for the place where I'm free to live together and exist as me.
I will fight in the name of Rose Quartz and everything that she believed in. I will fight for the world I was made in. The earth is everything I've ever known.
I will fight to be everything that everybody wants me to be when I'm grown.
The odds are against us, this won't be easy, but we're not going to do it alone. We are the crystal gems.
We'll always save the day.
And if you think we can't, we'll
Always find a way.
That's why the people
Of this world.
Believe in.
Garnet.
Amethyst and Pearl.
and Steven!
That was very poorly edited.